Dear President Trump and President Obama, before you guys came into your administrations, and since before administrations before you, since I was a little kid too, campuses, children's campuses, intercities, have been connected to Central Connecticut State University. Now this is where it has been simultaneously connected to other colleges and universities, and fire campuses, and medical campuses that were recorded being and having been involved also with all identity of the ground locations. Tactically, criminally foreign influenced per a method that kept the same and keeps the same being and having been there, here and there too. And where it is active there and here and there, they are self-valuing roles, needs, natures, and methods to hide life aggressions in relationship to correlation natures, means to discern this at each age of fact-cheaping nature distinctly. And so this is that original method, sickly distinctly, to all identity of the ground locations, and then protracted and made without anyone realizing. Science is abridged, campuses abridged, database relationships which are also private, overt criminal enterprises as identities in relationship to these locations too, in relationships to where and how we have shared policing, foreign and domestic, and shared training of that is shared raw with physical delusions, and within as rules, crimes, predators, and within as insights into uses of words / values like identities of law, So where and how they have roles with identity theft, fraud, method. These are also where and how they have complete possession over the quality of fact treatment nature of all black and white leaders in Wethersfield, Connecticut, interbranch. And while they are simultaneously pretending other and how they are motivated to that. That's all recorded. But people don't follow the mandated law outside of courts, because courts have been pretending that we can't sue them. In context, we can sue them. And because they know also that we don't have lawyers, and that they have lawyers involved with them also, fabricating audio and video, already with the news locations and with the places next to the locations. There are places next to WFSB in Rocky Hill, Connecticut, and next to it, involved with military, and with foreign and domestic, family members, interbranch that are involved with predicate acts, also with a whole bunch of nations, and however their cliques growing up. I don't know them. And all the instances where there are exceptions to that, they're all recorded in instances where they're using investigators, and identities of law, people with badges and guns that are men and women, associated with the people who are educators with the campuses. And we have people that who are doctors, involved also with locations of the ground that are medical. Now where they have responses where people didn't commit a crime, and or did, but they can't write anything in writing because they'll have to put themselves down. They'll have to write they'll be caught. That's why I yelled and I made people call the police without telling them why. So they did what they're told to do in instances. Whatever, I don't know what they're told to do, but I know I know the extent of it. They're told that they can put people for mental evaluation. So they kept me for 3 days. And then there were 2 other instances. 3 times they did this. Used a Hartford triage. I'd never been forced to another triage before either. And they have doctors there. They have ones with whole families, men and women, involved also personally, criminally with prosecutors. Now these are ones that pretended they had conversations with me about legal cases where they were involved with the predicate acts with federal criminals that were co-defendants in that case, in another case, /S that was ongoing at the time of my father's death. But before that, they were already involved with pension stuff pension theft stuff, different kinds of things that are, while they were pretending to be legitimate people, and while they were involved with job sites and uses of election laws to right to tell a lie and stuff, for example, at the same time, using it where they don't have the right to lie. Inclusion with timed natures of predicate acts with kids. Roles with uses of juxtaposed natures of organized crime with each age of fact-cheating nature, and uses of it where they have, per how they have self-value, types of identities of the law that react to types of crimes, where and how are the ones involved with it. So they have wire crime acts and methods recorded with Wethersfield schools and with intercity schools. Now these are where people prevent sequence shifts and predicate acts from being subjects in simple sentences. This is where they have recorded self-possession of their emotions and passions. These are people involved with the depositions leading up to a 2006 case with former Director of the FBI Robert Luskin and his co-defendants, one of them who had a daughter in my grade. I don't know if she had other brothers or whatever. I only saw her one instance. I didn't have one word with her. Before that, after that, and since, Heather Hansen and Joe DeMora also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved intercampuses with people with the intelligence community, involved with doctors and judges and prosecutors and state's attorneys and people with Washington, D.C., and people with World Trade Center that are involved with predicate acts, also on off the state judicial branch office, also with a Fianza family, I don't know, and their neighbors, people that live in their area. All recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by a Fianza's confessions from strangers all at once. Roles with the Dillon family, also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. Roles with predicate acts with locations on my street, uses of each age of fact-cheating nature through time, where they are also connected to their roles with predicate acts with the courts and with political families that are also with them being and having been involved with the vertical and horizontal database organized crime method that is also sequence shifting because it's getting over on simultaneous nature, getting over on our identity. These are also people involved on and off the state prison offices. The people on and off the state the prison offices and on and off the state judicial branches' offices are also all recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed roles with natures of identity thefts and frauds, and medicines crimes and drugs crimes, and wire crime rules, and mail crimes rules, falsified police rights rules, with houses on Two Rod Highway and Hangdog Lane, and involved with sequence shifts, and the creation of instances where they're fabricating audio and video, on-off interbranch relationship, distinctly, non-distinctly from where with the regular locations. This is how identity works as a value/value progression since before computers were existed. How instances in relationship to databases, syntax of fact-cheating nature, preventing free speech, so to prevent and keep self-value, complete possession of our founding parents' actual communications to us. For example, and so we have people using the crime method of simultaneously pretending they want privacy and pretending whatever, that we have to pick up one identity thing to sue, which is fine if they just, that's why I told them, have them say sorry to, the Attorney General, because this is also a whole bunch of ways. And I don't know what this Chet Casper and is Debbie Gold. They attached me with a whole bunch of people through time. They went to my grammar school. I don't even know. I never saw Chet Casper on my grammar school one time. I don't know. And Lance Cuddy. Now these are also people involved with forensics locations and with state police, and with military families, and with military police, involved with the transition from Al-Qaeda Organized Crime Control Act to the Racketeering Influence of Corrupt Organization Act, involved with former director of the FBI, no, with further roles with other natures of organized crime that had nothing to do with the subject but through, in the 2006 case, the subject /S brought up part of the case /S that was ongoing at the time of my father's death. Okay, now these are people that recorded, confessed, and demonstrated their roles with that and with those courts that were involved with locations, predicate acts, and roles with kids that attached me sneaky to behind my back, attached my family member, fake words with each other, fake communications with each other, and as their roles with predicate acts, falsified police reports roles, identity thefts and frauds roles. Uses of depositions missed. Uses of communications with lawyers missed and exploited originally and still. You see, lawyers, when they're entertaining Jim Crow laws and the counters to it, the way the counters were entertaining counters, they were both using both fake sides of Trinity, its correlation nature, using tactically criminally foreign influence premises treatments, sequence treatments, finite active progressive truth positive treatments, identity treatments, and they were using physical delusions, tactically induced, and effectively maintained self-cultivated. You guys are sick world, and you have the same source of it to counter in identity, and now in physics too, and always in metaphysics, through, and where it is constantly gaining the value of what is constantly leaving here. But see, we have that inverted now. And we have the fact-cheating nature. Phenomenon social like that exploit only allowed to be that which is connected to our syntax nature, our positive, negative treatments, separated from ground's course by this, not force. It is surging through all things alone. The volume that is invisible but still discernible. A distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneous relationship to 5 identities of sequence/simultaneous nature. As the value of sequence true, for example. As what is inherent or as what is inherent before about being the value of the smallest thing, the finite. So those are two different sequence/simultaneous nature. This is where and how everything can only be a simultaneous nature. So we have people offensively that pretended when passions and emotions with federal criminals before they got caught when they were kids. And they were simultaneously using the right to lie with elections crimes and roles, unions and stuff like that. And they were using overt criminal enterprises with the kids. And they were kept needing to hide life aggressions. So they make instances, and where they have timed, they lie about where the person's going to be. And then they have fake sides, like pretend someone will go in there with them. Or if they do go there with them, we'll go and pretend they're going there with them legitimately. And then this is where the courts and the police forms are involved with the overt criminal enterprises with the same ones. And these are also people through time with Trinity College and with Central Connecticut State University with their databases involved from off campuses with the directors of other agencies too, because it is recorded, because I asked since before the World Trade Center attack to report related predicate acts and roles with those countries involved with that. As the ones from Connecticut, also not by accident, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, connected, even as strangers, recorded with connections made for them, whether they want to deny it or not, right to the World Trade Center attack context, and to sequence shifts, and to the creation of instances. See, this is a method /S that has what it already had originally, still had complete possession of the like progressions of each branch of government individually grouped and together. In other words, they each individually have methods of hiding their personal, grouped, and all together identity /S and uses of it, which is how they are used remotely as victim predators, which is why forgiveness is important, because they're telling you to stay victim predators. Because when we have to speak about instances in life, the interbranch and the foreign at the same time need to keep only the same illusions, any part of them. Because the interbranch, for example, individually grouped and together distinctly, they say, well, I don't know about that. Focus on this. And they use that as means to fabricate audio and video. And the reason they get away with it is because that was already being and having been with locations. They already had /have roles with even murders and with uses of forensics locations, legal body dumping spots, and overtly criminal body dumping spots, and uses of the people around the body dumping spots. Sense and sensibilities. We use James Austin's phrase. Use a woman's. Reactions and roles where everyone's supposed to be forced to entertain. Types of experts. Types of counters to negative value nature progressions, action natures. The breaching method, demonstrably clear as day and night. Reveal the clear. It was designed to cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures that they demonstrably caused, blamed on other things other than themselves. You think, who says, oh, guns? That's why there's shootings. Couldn't be without a gun. It's not by accident, they're more rare, but the ones that happen in the suburbs, and or the people when they're not in the suburbs but from the suburbs. Why and how those are the people involved with the police forms and with the intelligence community, interbranch and military, and the people with the prisons that work with that. Also involved with locations with instances creation that are criminally foreign influenced, because uses of them per a method are criminally foreign influenced. And where that was his roles increasingly, that values that having been, so that's valuing criminally foreign influence premises, precedents and statutes, integrity, non-existent, pretending passions and emotions anyway. No. They knew they would be doing this. That's why it's necessary to address this. That is recorded in method. That is intercampuses connected. So when people call out bad things with kids happening on campuses, people need to act fast. But see where and how this is being and having been a method that is a fact sheet nature oriented, syntax oriented, identity oriented. They need people to call out what is true so they could keep what is defense to all locations, areas, and states, criminally for an influence only capable of causing negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. For the ground's actual identity of value/value progression system. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a police foreman, I'm not a criminal. They're physical delusions. Their use of a phenomenon as is. And then their responses to where and how. They call people bad people. Innocent people. People that don't even know. And people that never had a chance. But to be those ones that end up pulling the triggers. With those identity of the ground locations recorded clear as day. Hear many pray. Juxtaposed natures, not seemingly distinct. I mean, but not also non-distinct from juxtaposed natures of organized crime and or of predicate acts delivery and predicate acts cover-up methods to cover it up. And or self-valued roles with that. Mass criminal insidiousness natures. Mass wrongdoers. That's what you hear when people make opinions, as you hear victim predators of that nature making opinions about what Jim Crow laws were about what white is about, or black is about. Stay right on the physical delusions. Stay right on the instances. See, they have complete possession over the parties. They have complete possession over the intelligence community in such a way where they had to pretend other. Part of the ways they do that is by pretending to be against racism and where and how they have the undercover identities, like with the Kovinskis family. I don't know them. I only know them from Seeking Me Out, part of the pattern with confessions. As the people involved further with the principal child sex offenders campus. And then they got his wife involved and their kids. So they're pretending that they want privacy. They're pretending they want, but they wouldn't have came forward in the past. But these are people relevant now to the people further involved with the wire crimes and the method with the kids, with the schools, and the kids are multi-front, telling the lies to the parents, hiding illusions, hiding a racketeering method that is a whole bunch of them on and off the campuses connected, as clear as day. Hear many pray. It is clear as day, correlation nature. You know that method did this to the Native Americans. You know that it did this to colonists A through Z. You know that it made them pretend others simultaneously. That never went away. Hear many pray. Gail King, I apologize. But I have to, in other words, this is how they have men and women involved interbranch with men recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed of associated with WFSB, predicate acts, other news, Connecticut, and people on and off Connecticut campuses through time connected with the creation of instances into databases, verbally, mail crime, wire crime roles, and to other locations, like a Mazzucato Bakery on Franklin Avenue and in Rocky Hill. Recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with my town's police chief, Weathersfield, Connecticut, with interbranch family members, attaching me and little kids to fake and creating and having created instances in the past. I don't know Mike Roberts. There is something that has to do with like the instances. Briefly, I knew him in Washington D.C. and World Trade Center. People involved with predicate acts, on and off campuses, involved with identity thefts and frauds that are intercampuses, and associated with this. I think it was Officer Jerry Miller, It might have been one of the other ones, but that's one of the people online with the Facebook pages. There's also a KNERR. There are different names with New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page, with their police and prosecutors and judges and state's attorneys also involved with the principal sex offenders campus, then and now further, with more roles, including women judges. Now these are the people involved with the where and how the types of experts are using and valuing types of reactions to things that are being used to further those same things. Because they were used for, these are people involved with more World Trade Center attack predicate acts too. And with these doctors use the other doctors' information. Doctors have no right to put type fake information individually grouped in together. So we're going to have to do surgery. We're going to have the hospital sue themselves to do this right. It's not by... So this is also all these locations tied to the people involved with these games with the wire, with the phone. So I want a response for the rest of the threats and the rest of the confessions regarding the principal child sex offenders campus. Gail King, these are people also tied to male and female black, white judges, female, involved also with a Detective Samuda, recorded involved with sexually natured crimes. Also intercities with girls of different age and women that were, when they were kids, they were abused by the interbranch, involved with identity theft frauds, uses of them creating instances so they can keep using investigators. They are involved with the same people, involved with the same methods, right now with little kids, with little running around playing together. And the instances they created with that. And with the other houses that are already been forced, tricked, hurt, persuaded to roles with this, with that Weathersfield Interbranch. Intercities too, other police forms with them. They're all getting tied to what is this method that is intercampuses. So there are people with campuses in Weathersfield that are further involved with judges and prosecutors, also with Middletown and with a Dr. Graham. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a Phil Cololo and some Mendez police, with child sex offenders, and with their patients and criminals, involved with locations crimes, with medicines crimes and drugs crimes with them, and on off campuses, identity thefts and frauds. Their roles with people with the transition from ARCA to RICO, with the same house/S. Also, such brought up by the Joshua Julian on the Facebook page of the principal sex offenders campus. Note before he got caught with passions and emotions, pretending things that were recorded through time and improvement. There have been people associated with uses of forensics locations with their narratives, and where and how they had roles with people with the shooting of Billy Grasso, and with the body dumping spot of that. Also associated with Fianzas, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with this Dillon family, involved with remote uses of my neighbors per a method since before they moved into the neighborhood, and their extended family members, like this Phil Cololo, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by Bob Chase and by other people with New Britain Superior Court, that they are also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated predicate acts with the New Britain Superior Court and uses of it and of their databases and worse, and as their locations crimes, and their roles also grouped, where and how the Weathersfield police have also been fabricating audio and video on their location through time too, same ones, and uses of this are recorded. It also has something to do with the buildings around Fox Connecticut News and around WFSB and around, all things. This is from off locations for how it is using the identity of values of us fabricated. relationship to instances as actually natural, as actually correlations natures, as correlation nature's actual means. Native pure, forbid. So all has slit. Boxings. So follow mandated law of the Wethersfield elections and the national elections through administrations recorded clear as day as the identity of each person, including chiefs and presidents, used remotely. How could it be other, even if they were kings, locations, areas, states, criminally foreign influence? They have to keep them roles. Call through your souls. See mandate's course. They pretend mandated law that they are about it offensively, dishonestly. All rise. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police force, I'm not a criminal, I'm not a judge. I will lead you. I will show this will lead us all. This correlation nature using sequence shifts. So these are people behind in the background while we're waiting. So we need a response for because they also use their they also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, the pretend other. They used interbranch locations already to invest as their roles. Where they do, where they invest, confessions, demonstrate, record, where they interbranch and with the private tie to them, have roles with overt criminal enterprises, have roles with overtly criminally foreign influence. You know, they tie their sense and sensibility. They confess, oh, my father's going to get a promotion. Like, if, you know, tied to why they're making confessions, but they put syntax where it doesn't make sense, but it does now because I figured it out, and regardless if that was passed, I don't know those people. Those are people that sought me out. This is a method that uses people that aren't even in the same class, and they attach you to fake words, fake instances. They even make people take part of that by using tricks in the past. And these are the same people I caught now doing this. This is not just the principal child offenders campus. This is not just only the other ones in town, not just the other cities. So when we were talking about one, there are a lot of motivations and names that are juxtaposed. And having been juxtaposed, there are a lot of sense and sensibilities. There are a lot of people's nervous systems that want and need to keep AB when strangers are talking. So I want a response to the rape threats. I want a response to the confessions regarding the Scalora family and the drugs confessions by the Rob Rodriguez that brought up the campus, his roles next to it. Because there are also other houses next to it that are also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, being and having been involved with the intelligence community, being and having been used with the foreign, and the overt criminal enterprises, and the witness protection programs tied to that, tied to the shooting of Billy Grasso. And this Fianza family out of the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices, all along Route 3 involved with them, with people with connected through time. They create instances and then they pretend to know you. And they have a tactical exploitation of those instances also with all these other countries, not legitimately with them through whatever is tied to them, with like the Coles Department of Restore in that area since before the Coles. And with the Town Line Drive, and with its ties intercities to the people involved with predicate acts in New Britain with that location, and with the Department of Transportation involved with like a Perron family with that location, also rolls with the instances with an ILO family and a Kerr family, and this and this Cololo family that keeps getting brought up by interbranch with predicate acts, switching names, forging names, forcing them to roll with it too, but then having other people make confessions, and no one's responding for those confessions that also demonstrate our also confirmations of the roles with the other people's predicate acts. So a whole bunch of people tied to locations next to the schools that have ties between themselves that are and were already having been self-valued, criminally foreign influence roles with cases. So they have a big headache. They need to lie and hide. They need to value the people in the prisons that they set up, and that they had the roles with the abuses of since they were kids. Lying about it, and whenever they did things, they attached lies to it while they were getting away with worse. Not legitimately. It's the reason the law doesn't say, oh, they have the right to lie. They do. If it does anywhere, all exceptions, exception nature, a demonstration they exploited it. It's actual proper reading. So I need to be I need response also, because these are people that are preventing me from getting a job as a teacher by making me either ignore predicate acts in identity theft roles with the people with those locations tied to the predicate acts on my street. Small world, big world. Everyone's speaking through others, forging names, switching names. So they have locations where the courts are involved with this. That's why they'll tax our nation. If we don't, that's why we have to address how the other countries are keeping them used remotely. Delusions rot. You can't discern logic of integrity. Never spoke for what caused slavery. What caused those crazy laws? Sustained, rolls with it. We're going to need equality of fact-cheating nature. And so we can get to where and how someone has to raise their voice properly and in a protracted way. They need to raise their voice as theater after coming out of a movie and or a sick conviction of the mind. Every modern nation at once, the identity law, they're sick. They let them bring up a subject. That's why they bring up subjects. They don't allow the evidence of where and how they're preventing mandated law. They're preventing people's voices by stealing our voices. The private news media, multi-front, with and as locations, crimes much worse than that. With the interbranch that have been doing it, interbranch, individually grouped together, using methods, forging names, switching names afterwards, because they know they already have been doing that. There are also a whole bunch of people tied to those prisons and the campuses that train them together, in the military together, that are further involved with the method /S where it's sexually natured with the little kids, and where it's drugs crimes with them and medicines crimes, and where it's the people pretending to be against that and the overt criminal enterprises at the same time, kept denied the same sequences with them. Same criminally foreign influence uses of medical communities and of their family members, therefore their sense and sensibilities. So they have to lie. They've been using Facebook page of Weatherfield police hide like little cowards. Then, so they could keep a group and gun. They have guns and gavels, individually grouped together. We have sick, punk, fake cowards. So we need them on paper now for the one name in sequence. You don't keep it, have them someone ask. Now, part of the method of them attaching kids and their family members to fake words is part of the problem. Fake locations. So I want a response to me. Why and who? But what? They also have officers forging and switching names on police reports, different police reports through time connected, as their roles, with the confessions before and after my new neighbors moved in, tied to the people associated with them and with their real estate agent, with the courts and child sex offenders, also involved with a pattern tied to people who answer phones for networks and for the police through time, involved further with the people tied to the sex offenders, further involved with predicate acts. It's clear as day, with various natures of judges and prosecutors and doctors, sick as day. Hear many pray. Make sure you fucking respond. Make sure you respond for Weathersfield campuses. And don't let them duck between this. Don't worry about the teachers if they have a badge or a gun. Have courage, someone. Respond to me. Respond to me here. These are people involved with the World Trade Center attack further through other natures of syntax racketeering, evidence racketeering, identity thefts and frauds roles they have, and can't be that and defend or afford to defend it. What was never defended because of it. The correlation nature we have to means to understand America instantly by, for other nations to understand their core countries instantly by. But we need the great debriefing. Jump over kings, boxings. Let's do it. Gil King, please help. Please respond. Gary Sasso, through confessions, demonstrated, recorded, confessed, and confirmed his roles with relevant predicate acts and people with the uses of your name and network, with judges and prosecutors and military families involved with the identity of the ground locations and the uses of instances that are criminally foreign influenced. Then they had to hide that as their roles in with the World Trade Center attack motivations, even though no one would want that. They've been, and the insurance investigators also with the news media, attaching people to fake reality, fake locations, fake ties to doctors, all kinds of. There are people with Social Security associated with the buildings next to, and with as students associated with that, with the police forms, and courts and military involved with and as cliques that are also recorded involved with predicate acts with other countries. Kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, find active progressive lives with them, including the Witness Protection Program people and the stewards of the Witness Protection Program, all victim predators. Kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, find active progressive roles, identity roles with the creation of instances with the courts, the police forms, the locations, peoples, private, all that, even parks and on and off the parks. It's important to understand that it already was off. That already made effects that are manifest, where statutes and precedents formally are also to the nature, which is a tactically denatured. It is landscape theater across the board of nations, as suburbs, let alone as urban areas. This was designed for the syntax, fact, treatment, nature types individually grouped together of human, premises treatments, all individually grouped in together, tactical ulterior from why we have that for the invisible, but clear. So they say unclear delusions wrought, not sequence true. Not the value of finite, denied its substance of correlation nature. Marbury versus Madison never spoke for New York City, for cities like that across the world. All boys and girls. See, get one of those people with the badges and guns to man up or to woman up and respond to my video and tell them to watch their passions and emotions, because there were other courts involved with our conversation. So if we have a dispute, make sure we don't lose the quality of facts. All right, you want to do that, say it then. Then we'll fight. Then you want to speak like a punk, because I'm going to reveal you as punks, and you're going to allow it, or you're going to be revealed criminally foreign influence. Because if you don't realize you're punks, fake. So I don't know what is involved with this. With a whole bunch of people tied to a domain family. I don't know. That pretended other when I was a kid too. I remember Andor went out of their way to make it look like there were instances where I know them. I personally, I never had a conversation with him. He's involved with predicate acts before that and after that. Distinctly not understand. I caught what it was about. That's why it pulled them right out. What the method is doing. This is doing this through time. Then it used it after. These are timed since the World Trade Center attack. Connecticut interbranch private with them and foreign have been recorded stacking fake recorded things into databases. They've been spreading lies with the news media. They've been pretending passions and emotions in relationship to that. They've been roles with creating fake instances with locations. There are foreign and domestic military people, male and female. I don't know their names. Associated with clubs downtown Hartford. Associated with Rick Faglione. Associated with the Chet Casper. I never had a word of conversation with Chet Casper in my life. He's also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. He's roles with men and women that pretend other. That pretend they use him. They involved us with sequence shifts. And with people all along Route 3 that are involved with the predicate acts, with the judges and the foreign, and with the prosecutors, and with the state's attorneys, and with the police forms, and with the judge, with the mayors, with the other politicians, their family members, all with these ties in confessions at Central Connecticut State University. When I was an adult, tied to it after there were already confessions related to that place from Wethersfield when I was a kid. Now these are people using the identities of the campus criminally, and they're pretending things in the background, pretending they want privacy. That's per the methods where when we're needing to solve problems with locations, areas, and even campuses. There are other people that are involved with those problems. Not just overt criminal enterprises, not just private ones, and all the people associated with them. They're all kept differentially needing to hide the same illusions. There are remote uses of that. These are people involved with the remote uses of the Wethersfield Library through time, involved with increasing natures of predicate acts roles, including sexual, with little kids, and including identity thefts and frauds, let alone election frauds. Worse than election frauds. It's worse than war crimes. These are people involved with more World Trade Center attack, predicate acts, uses of CNN remotely, uses of CNN's sense and sensibilities towards their Facebook pages, uses of Fox Connecticut News Facebook page stewards, uses of the Facebook page stewards of WFSB, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved through time with remote uses of those locations. Their roles with predicate acts on and off their location and locations next to them. I would real fast say sorry and separate me from those fake lies and make sure you get me a response for the campus real fast. Why I haven't had a response to those threats and confessions that were made. Don't sequence shift with them. Don't sequence shift with them and get them to one name and sequence because they switched names too. Let's get a response. Because saying that, pretending that through time that you guys, that courts pretend that provide writing and that police provide writing, while simultaneously delaying and faking things into databases to keep getting away with pretending it. That's not Marbury versus Madison. Marbury versus Madison is going to crack you guys open now. I'll show you how to respond with passions and emotions honestly when there's a problem with the kids. I'll show you how to ferret out the sick parents and uses of their kids. Make sure I get a response for the school too, because of recorded confessions further involved with the kids on off schools involved with that, with the upskirts natures associated with this Leahy family too. They have their daughter involved with this. They better get their daughter out of it fast. How are we going to do this, courts? I never had a conversation with this Leahy family in my life. And they had a whole bunch of sick men and women and other doctors involved with locations, crimes next to schools, with houses, with drugs, crimes, medicines, crimes with them, identity thefts, frauds with them, sequence shifts, uses of Facebook switching for evidence racketeering that the courts are involved with, pretending fake things about behavior. Get down. They better apologize to the Attorney General and fear God for pretending the integrity of the schools that never had them. Not one age of them.